Have you ever felt like you're standing right next to your partner, but they feel miles away? It's a heartbreaking feeling. This invisible wall that grows over time, built not by loud arguments or dramatic betrayals, but by something much quieter. That something is emotional neglect, and it's one of the biggest silent killers of relationships. It's not flashy, it's not dramatic, but it's devastating. And the saddest part, most people don't even see it coming. Today, I want to help you change that. We're going to uncover what emotional neglect really looks like, why it happens, and, most importantly, how you can fix it. If you're feeling disconnected, this is your chance to rewrite your story. Stay with me for the next 10 minutes because what you learn here could completely transform your relationship and maybe even save it. Let's start with the basics. What is emotional neglect? It's not the kind of thing you'll see on the surface. There are no screaming matches or slammed doors. Emotional neglect is about what's missing. The connection, the care, the acknowledgement that every relationship needs to thrive. Imagine you're sharing a meal with your partner. The food is great, but the silence between you is deafening. You try to start a conversation, but it feels forced, like you're both just going through the motions. That's emotional neglect. It's not intentional, and that's what makes it so tricky. Life gets busy, work, kids, responsibilities, and somewhere along the way, we stop prioritizing each other. We think, they know I love them, but we forget to show it. Emotional neglect is like letting a garden go untended. At first, you don't notice much, but over time, the weeds take over, and the beauty fades. You might wonder, how can something so subtle be so dangerous? The truth is, emotional neglect doesn't destroy a relationship all at once. It's a slow erosion. Imagine a tiny crack in the foundation of a house. It's barely noticeable at first, but over time it grows, weakening everything that's built on top of it. Emotional neglect works the same way. When your emotional needs go unmet, you start to feel invisible. You stop sharing your thoughts because you assume your partner won't listen, or worse, won't care. Slowly, resentment builds. It's not loud or explosive, but it's there like a quiet storm brewing in the distance. And before you know it, you're looking at someone you used to know so deeply, and they feel like a stranger. That's the danger of emotional neglect. But the good news? It's not irreversible. The moment you recognize it, you have the power to change it. So, how can you tell if emotional neglect is affecting your relationship? Let's break it down. The first sign is shallow conversations. Think about how you used to talk with your partner when you first fell in love. Those deep, meaningful conversations about dreams, fears, and everything in between. Now those talks might feel like a distant memory, replaced by surface-level exchanges about bills, errands, or what's for dinner. The second sign is feeling unappreciated. Maybe your partner used to notice the little things, like the way you always make their coffee just right, or how you handle stressful situations with grace. But now those gestures go unnoticed. It's not that they don't care, they've just stopped noticing. And the third sign? Avoiding conflict. This might seem like a good thing at first. After all, less fighting means a happier relationship, right? But in reality, avoiding tough conversations often leads to unresolved issues festering beneath the surface. And eventually, those unresolved issues create distance. Let's keep going with the signs. The fourth is a lack of affection, not just physical intimacy, but the small, everyday gestures that show love. Maybe the goodnight kisses have stopped, or the spontaneous hugs have become a thing of the past. Those moments of connection might seem small, but they're vital for keeping the emotional bond alive. The fifth sign is spending more time apart, whether physically or emotionally. Even when you're in the same room, you might find yourselves drifting into separate worlds, scrolling through your phones, watching different shows, or just sitting in silence. Emotional neglect creates a sense of loneliness, even when you're together. If any of these signs sound familiar, don't panic. Recognizing them is the first step toward change. And if you're here, watching this, it means you care enough to take that step. Why does emotional neglect happen? The answer isn't always straightforward, but it's rarely intentional. Life gets busy. Work, kids, and endless to-do lists consume our energy, leaving little room for nurturing a relationship. We fall into routines, assuming our partner knows how much we care, so we stop showing it. There's also the fear of vulnerability. Opening up about feelings, especially feelings of loneliness or disconnection, can be terrifying. What if they don't understand? What if it leads to a fight? So instead, we stay silent. But here's the thing. Vulnerability is the key to intimacy. It's scary, yes, but it's also what brings us closer. Emotional neglect happens when we stop choosing each other daily. But the good news is, we can start choosing each other again, starting right now. Let's talk solutions. The first step to overcoming emotional neglect is reconnecting daily. And no, this doesn't mean grand romantic gestures. It's about the small, consistent efforts that remind your partner, I see you, I'm here for you. Take just 10 minutes a day to have a real conversation. No phones, no distractions. Ask questions like, what's been on your mind today? Or, is there anything I can do to make your day easier? These small moments of connection might seem insignificant, but they're the building blocks of intimacy. Think of your relationship like a fire. It doesn't need a bonfire every day to keep burning, but it does need a spark. Be that spark for each other. The second step is expressing appreciation. When was the last time you genuinely thanked your partner? Not for something big, but for the everyday things. Maybe they packed your lunch or picked up something you needed without you asking. It's easy to take these things for granted, especially in long-term relationships. But appreciation is powerful. It's not just about saying thank you. It's about making your partner feel seen and valued. Leave them a note saying, I love how thoughtful you are. Or send them a quick text just to say, I appreciate you. These small acts of gratitude can rekindle the warmth that emotional neglect often takes away. Because at the end of the day, everyone wants to feel like what they do matters. The third step is prioritizing quality time. And no, it doesn't mean spending hours together every day. It's about creating intentional moments where you focus solely on each other. Schedule a date night, even if it's just once a week. It doesn't have to be fancy. A walk in the park, cooking dinner together, or even a simple movie night can do wonders. The key is to make it about connection, not just proximity. Think about this. When was the last time you laughed together? When was the last time you felt like a team? Quality time reminds you why you fell in love in the first place. It's about bringing joy back into the relationship and creating memories that strengthen your bond. Emotional neglect might be the silent killer of relationships, but it doesn't have to be the end of your story. The fact that you're here, watching this, shows that you care enough to make a change. And that's the first step, caring enough to try. Start small. Maybe it's a heartfelt conversation, a simple thank you, or scheduling that long overdue date night. Whatever it is, take that first step today. Your relationship deserves it, and so do you. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need it. Let's create a world where love doesn't just survive, it thrives. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.